Here's the exact same text, rewritten as requested. Number 10. The Lost City of Z. Picture a world where a guy in a pith helmet in 1925 simply vanishes. Like poof. Gone. That's what happened to Colonel Percy Fawcett, a man who believed in a hidden, sprawling civilization deep in the Amazon rainforest. He called it Z. And no, not like the superhero movie franchise, but as in the last letter of the alphabet, which feels oddly fitting for a mystery with no end. Fawcett wasn't just a dreamer. He was a tough-as-nails explorer who had already mapped vast sections of the Amazon. But this final expedition, with his son Jack and another companion, was different. He was going all in, searching for a city he was convinced was the real-life El Dorado. He sent back letters, telling people he was in good spirits and that the jungle was full of wonders. And then, silence. He just stopped. Hundreds of people have since tried to find him, or his city, and many of them vanished too. It's a linguistic pretzel, a well-meaning curse. It's like the jungle just swallowed them whole. The prevailing theory is that a local tribe got to them, or maybe they succumbed to the jungle's endless horrors. The biggest mystery, though, is whether the city itself was even real. In 2012, a group of archaeologists used satellites to find what looks like remnants of massive ancient settlements in the Amazon, complete with roads and causeways. So Fawcett might not have been a lunatic after all. He might have been on the right track, and the jungle just decided to keep his final destination a secret. Number 9. The Green Hells Flying Dutchman. You're floating down a murky river, the air thick with humidity and the buzz of a million insects. Suddenly you hear it, the unmistakable sound of a ghost ship's horn echoing through the dense foliage. But there are no ships, and there's no sea. This is the Amazon's answer to the legend of the Flying Dutchman, a myth that has haunted sailors for centuries. But here, the legend takes a more unsettling turn. We're talking about the disappearance of the SS Cotopaxi, a cargo ship that vanished in the Bermuda Triangle in 1925. But this isn't about that. This is about its alleged reappearance in the Amazon rainforest. In the 1980s, a story circulated that a similar ship, the SS Cotopaxi, was found abandoned in the depths of the Amazon. It's a completely ridiculous story, of course, because ships don't just casually sail into the middle of the jungle. But the story gained a life of its own, becoming an urban legend that has been told and retold by locals. The ship, they say, is a ghostly presence, a silent reminder of a world that isn't supposed to be here. It's a story born of a misunderstanding, a tall tale that has been passed down for generations. But every now and then, some new person claims to have seen the ship, its ghostly horn echoing through the trees. It's a linguistic prank we all play on ourselves, a weird little inside joke where the punchline is a piece of pork rind. It's a perfect example of how the human brain will try to find a narrative, no matter how illogical, for something it can't explain. Here's the text rewritten without any changes, just as you requested. Number 8. The Giant Anaconda Hoax. Imagine you're out on a quiet walk through the jungle and you turn a corner to see a snake. Not just any snake, but a snake so big it looks like it swallowed a school bus. This is the stuff of legend, the ultimate jungle monster. And for a long time, people thought the Amazon held a serpent of this scale, an anaconda so massive it could swallow a cow whole. It's a compelling, terrifying idea, isn't it? The kind of story that gets whispered around campfires and passed down for generations. The story gained a whole new life thanks to a viral photo of what looked like a gigantic anaconda wrapped around a tree. People believed it because, well, it's the Amazon. Anything is possible, right? But here's the thing. The photo was a fake. A complete and total fabrication. A smaller snake photoshopped to look like a monster. And yet, the myth persists. It's like we want to believe in a creature so terrifyingly awesome that it makes a T-Rex look like a kitten. We crave a monster in the dark. It's a primal human need. Your brain, the part that's supposed to be rational and logical, would much rather believe in a 7-foot snake with an appetite for human beings than a simple, mundane, regular-sized snake that just happens to live in a really big jungle. We'd rather the mystery be real, even if all the evidence points to a good story told with a bad photo. Number 7. The Taos Cave Mystery. Think for a second about what it would take for you to believe in an ancient pre-human civilization. Probably a lot, right? Well, what if I told you there's a cave system in Ecuador that contains a library of metallic plates inscribed with an unknown language? A library protected by golden statues of humans, all inside a cave so perfectly formed, it looks like it was cut by a machine, not by nature. This is the mystery of the Taos Cave. The story begins in the 1970s when a Hungarian-Argentine treasure hunter claimed to have found this incredible library. He brought in all sorts of wild theories, that the library was a gift from aliens, or that it was the last remnant of a super-advanced civilization. The story got so big, so wild, that in 1976, an expedition was mounted. And guess who was on that expedition? Neil Armstrong. Yes, that Neil Armstrong. The first man on the moon. Why? Because the Ecuadorian government wanted to legitimize the expedition. Now, the official story is that Armstrong didn't find anything and the whole thing was a bust. But the legend never died. The cave is still there, and to this day, people go searching for the library of metal books, convinced that the truth is just one turn away. Your brain, the logical part that should know better, gets a little tingle of hope. What if, just what if, the impossible is true? What if there's a reason the first man on the moon went into a dark cave in Ecuador? It's a linguistic prank we all play on ourselves, a weird little inside joke where the punchline is a piece of pork rind. Number 6, the legend of Akakor. What if I told you a German journalist in the 1970s stumbled upon a remote indigenous tribe in the Amazon and was told a wild story about a giant, subterranean city? A city called Akakor, built by a race of white-skinned gods over 15,000 years ago. This is the story of Karl Brugger and the disappearance of the city of Akakor. Brugger befriended a local chieftain named Tatunka, who claimed to be a guardian of the ancient city. Tatunka spun a tale of a network of underground tunnels, pyramids, and a people living in a secret world, waiting for the right time to re-emerge. It's a magnificent story, the stuff of Hollywood adventure movies. Brugger wrote a best-selling book about it, and then in 1984, he was murdered. Tatunka story became legendary, attracting countless explorers looking for the mythical city. Many of them also went missing. Now here's the kicker. Tatunka was later exposed as a con artist, an elaborate liar who just made the whole thing up. And yet, to this day, the myth of Akakor persists. People still believe in it, still go searching for it, convinced that there must be some truth to the story. It's a linguistic ghost, a relic of a time when the world was a little more rugged and scams were a bit more creative. Our brains, the very thing designed to ask questions, is told to pump the brakes. It's a testament to the power of a good story. We'd rather believe in a spectacular lie than a boring truth. Here's your text, rewritten exactly as you asked. Number 5, the lost city of Paititi. Imagine a city so rich and powerful that when the Spanish conquistadors showed up, the inhabitants just packed up all their gold and vanished. They didn't fight. They didn't surrender. They just hit the road, taking their treasure with them and disappearing into the depths of the Amazon. This is the legend of the lost Incan city of Paititi. For centuries, Paititi has been the ultimate treasure hunter's dream, a whispered promise of mountains of gold and a civilization untouched by time. The stories vary, but the core is always the same. A final refuge for the last Incas, a secret city hidden in the unmapped jungle. The jungle itself is the perfect vault. It's a place of impenetrable foliage, raging rivers, and a whole host of things that want to kill you. Countless expeditions have gone into the Amazon in search of Paititi, armed with maps, legends, and a whole lot of misguided hope. And every single one of them has come back empty-handed, or more often, not come back at all. But here's the crazy part. The lack of evidence doesn't stop people from believing. It only makes the myth stronger. Your brain, the logical part, says, hey, maybe this thing doesn't exist. But the other part, the part that loves a good treasure hunt, whispers, yeah, but what if it does? What if you're the one who finds it? The legend of Paititi is a testament to the power of a good story. It's not about the gold anymore. It's about the chase, the mystery, and the beautiful, ridiculous idea that there's still a part of the world that hasn't been found. We've turned a description of a difficult, almost gross necessity into a synonym for a friendly chat. Number 4, the Amazonian giant geoglyphs. For centuries, people thought the Amazon rainforest was a pristine, untouched wilderness. a place where the only signs of human life were small, nomadic tribes. We believed this, we taught this, and we wrote books about it. And then we started cutting down the trees. And when we did, something bizarre was revealed. Beneath the dense foliage, etched into the very earth, were massive geometric patterns. Giant circles, squares, and complex designs, some of them hundreds of feet across. These are the Amazonian geoglyphs, and they completely rewrite the history books. We're not talking about a couple of random lines here. We're talking about hundreds of these earthworks, scattered over a vast area. They're a clear sign that long before the Europeans showed up, this part of the Amazon wasn't a pristine wilderness. It was a bustling civilization, a place where people lived, farmed, and built things on a scale we never thought possible. But here's the mystery. We have no idea who built them or why. Were they for ceremonies? Were they part of a settlement? Were they just a really, really elaborate art project? They're like a giant, ancient message that we can see but can't read. Your brain, which had a nice, neat little timeline of history, is now completely scrambled. It's like finding a spaceship under a parking lot. It's a linguistic prank we all play on ourselves, a weird little inside joke where the punchline is a piece of pork rind. It's a very specific and very strange cultural reference that has been completely untethered from its historical context. We're all just looking at these giant dirt drawings and wondering what the heck is going on. Number 3. The Legend of El Dorado. Let's talk about gold. We're obsessed with it. For centuries, it's been the driving force behind exploration, conquest, and a whole lot of questionable decisions. And no story embodies this obsession more than the legend of El Dorado. But here's the thing. El Dorado wasn't a city of gold. It was a person, a chief of the Muisca people in what is now Colombia, who would cover himself in gold dust for a ceremonial ritual. He was literally the Golden One. The Spanish conquistadors heard this story, and in a spectacular act of misunderstanding and greed, turned him into a city of gold, a mythical kingdom full of treasure just waiting to be plundered. And from there, the search began. Expedition after expedition was launched into the jungles and mountains of South America. Hundreds of men died, fortunes were lost, and all for a city that never existed in the first place. It's a story of human folly on a truly epic scale. Your brain, the rational part of you, should be screaming, "It's not real. It was a person, not a city." But the other part, the part that watches adventure movies and dreams of striking it rich, just can't let go. It's a phrase that dramatically inflates the stakes of any situation, turning a minor annoyance into a matter of life and death. And we just use it without a second thought. The legend of El Dorado is a reminder that sometimes the things we want to believe in are far more powerful than the truth itself. Here is the text rewritten exactly as requested. Number 2. The giant Xingu River Stone. Imagine you're a geologist, a person who understands rocks and how they work. You know what a rock is supposed to look like. And then you see this, a massive, perfectly carved stone sitting in the middle of the Xingu River in the Amazon. It's too big to have been moved by any known civilization, and its shape is just too perfect to be a natural formation. This is the mystery of the giant Xingu River Stone. We're not talking about a random boulder here. This thing looks like a gigantic, forgotten piece of ancient machinery. It has smooth, geometric sides and strange carvings that don't seem to match any known culture. So, what is it? Some people think it's a meteorite, a cosmic visitor that just happened to land in the river and get smoothed out over time. Others think it's a sign of a lost civilization, a piece of an ancient building that just never got found. The scientific community, as you can imagine, is completely baffled. It's the kind of thing that makes your brain short-circuit. It's an object that has no context, no history, and no easy explanation. It's a piece of a puzzle with no box to look at the picture. Your brain, for a moment, has to ignore the literal meaning and just accept that this tiny, flavorless speck is the perfect metaphor for a healthy dose of doubt. It forces you to consider the impossible, to question everything you thought you knew about the history of the world and what we're capable of. The stone just sits there, silent and massive, daring you to come up with an answer that makes any sense. Number 1. The Maricoxy. And we've come full circle, back to Colonel Percy Fawcett, the man who started our journey and vanished without a trace. Before he disappeared, he told a story that was so unbelievable, it was almost poetic. He spoke of a tribe of giant ape-like men who lived in the deepest parts of the Amazon. He called them the Maricoxi. He wrote about them in his journal, describing them as hairy, primitive beings who lived in a lost valley. The story, of course, was never verified. There was no evidence, no photos, and no bones. Just the word of a man who was already a legend. But here's the interesting part. After Fawcett vanished, the legend of the Maricoxi became a part of his story. It was the last great tale he told. A promise of a world that was wilder and more mysterious than we could possibly imagine. And to this day, people go searching for the Maricoxi, convinced that Fawcett wasn't lying. It's a classic case of the storyteller becoming a part of the story. Your brain, the part that's supposed to be rational and logical, would much rather believe in a monster than in the sad truth of a man getting lost. We've collectively agreed to forget the grim reality behind the phrase and just appreciate it as a fun, quirky way to describe the weather. The legend of the Maricoxi isn't a mystery about a monster. It's a mystery about us, about our desperate need to believe in something more, in a world where magic still exists, even if it's just a whispered story about a man who disappeared and a monster who might have been the last thing he ever saw.